"Babe, get me a beer. And make it quick. I'm in the middle of a raid." Jason didn't even look up from the TV screen as I walked through the door exhausted from a 10-hour shift. He was sprawled on our secondhand couch, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and soda cans, wearing the same sweatpants he'd had on for 3 days. I stood there, clutching my purse, looking at the man I had lived with for 2 years. The man who had promised to start looking for a job next week for the last 104 weeks. The man who criticized my cooking, my clothes, and my boring ambition. "Did you hear me, Lily?" he snapped, pausing his game. "Beer. Now." I took a deep breath. Today was the day. "Jason," I said, my voice trembling, partly with nerves, partly with suppressed rage. I I think you need to see this." I pulled a crumpled piece of paper from my pocket. It was a lottery ticket. Or rather, a very convincing facsimile of one purchased online for $5.99, along with a fake winning confirmation slip. "What is it?" he grunted, finally tearing his eyes away from Call of Duty. "Another bill? I told you I'll pay my half when my crypto investments take off." "No," I whispered, my hands shaking theatrically. I think I won." "Won what?" "A free coffee." "The Powerball," I said. $10 million. For a second, the only sound in the apartment was the hum of the refrigerator. Jason stared at me. Then he stared at the ticket. Then he burst out laughing. "Yeah, right. You lucky, please. You can't even pick a good movie on Netflix." "Check the numbers," I said, holding out the ticket and my phone with the winning numbers pulled up. "Please, Jason. Check." He snatched them from my hand, his eyes scanning back and forth. 4, 12, 28, 33, 49. Powerball, 5. His face went slack. The color drained from his cheeks. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then he dropped the phone. "Oh my God," he whispered. "Oh my God." He looked at me, and in that instant, the man who had treated me like a servant for 2 years vanished. In his place was someone I didn't recognize, someone who looked at me not with disdain, but with a terrifying, hungry adoration. "Lily!" he screamed, leaping off the couch and tackling me in a hug that knocked the wind out of me. "Baby, we did it. We're rich." "We?" I asked, pulling back slightly. "Yes, us. You and me against the world." He grabbed my face, kissing me hard. "I knew it. I knew you were special. I always said you were my lucky charm." "Yesterday you called me a deadweight," I reminded him. "I was stressed." He dismissed it instantly. "Baby, forget all that. This changes everything. We can move out of this dump. I can get that Lambo. We can travel." He was pacing now, manic energy radiating off him. 10 million. After taxes, that's like what, 6? We need a financial advisor. My buddy Mark knows a guy. And we need to quit your job. Call them right now. Tell them to shove it." "Jason, slow down," I said, playing the overwhelmed girlfriend. "I haven't even validated it yet." "It's valid," he yelled. "I can feel it. This is destiny. Lily." Suddenly he stopped pacing. He looked at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. He dropped to one knee right there on the beer-stained carpet. "Lily Vance," he said, grabbing a ring pop wrapper from the coffee table and twisting it into a circle. "I was going to wait for the perfect moment, but there's no time like the present. I love you more than life itself. Will you marry me?" I looked down at him, at the desperation in his eyes, at the greed that was so naked it was almost obscene. He was proposing to a lottery ticket, not to me. "Yes," I said, forcing a smile. "Yes, Jason, I'll marry you." He cheered, slipping the candy wrapper onto my finger. "We're getting married. We're rich." But as he hugged me again, burying his face in my neck, I didn't feel love. I felt the cold, hard weight of the recording device in my pocket capturing every word. He didn't know I hadn't won the lottery, and he didn't know I had actually won something much better. A promotion, a real career, a future that didn't include him. "My name is Lily Vance. I am 26 years old, and I am about to teach my boyfriend a lesson he will never forget." Before I tell you what happened when Jason called his mother, I need to give you some context. I met Jason 3 years ago. Back then he was charming. He had a job at a car dealership, he bought me flowers, he listened. But the moment we moved in together, the mask slipped. He quit his job because his boss didn't respect his vision. He started spending his days gaming and his nights drinking with his friends. I became the sole provider. I paid the rent, the utilities, the groceries. I worked as a marketing assistant, grinding my way up the corporate ladder while Jason drained my energy and my bank account. "You're lucky I'm with you," he would say, when I asked him to wash a dish. Most guys wouldn't date a girl who dresses like a librarian. He eroded my confidence bit by bit until I felt like I was lucky to have him. Until last week. Last week, my boss called me into her office. "Lily," she said, "you've been carrying this department for a year. We're promoting you. Director of Marketing. Salary $200,000 a year, plus bonuses." I was stunned. I was elated. I wanted to run home and tell Jason. But then I stopped. If I told him what would happen, would he be happy for me? Or would he just see a bigger paycheck to leech off of? I realized I didn't know if he loved me anymore. Or if he ever did. So I bought the fake lottery ticket. A $5 test. If he reacted with genuine happiness with support, maybe I would tell him the truth. Maybe we could work it out. But his reaction wasn't support. It was ownership. "We're rich. I can get that Lambo." Now back in the apartment, Jason was already on the phone. "Mark, dude, you're not going to believe this. We hit the jackpot. Literal jackpot, 10 mil. He listened for a moment, then laughed. "Yeah, she said yes. Locked it down immediately. No prenup yet, but I'll handle it. She's clueless, man. She's letting me handle the investment strategy." I stood in the kitchen pretending to make tea, listening to him sell me out to his friend. "Yeah, we're gonna live like kings. First thing I'm doing is dumping her shitty Honda and getting a G-Wagon." He hung up and turned to me beaming. "Baby Mark is so happy for us. We're going out tonight, the finest restaurant in the city. On me? Well, on us. Future us." "Tonight?" I asked. "But the ticket office is closed. We can't cash it until tomorrow." "Doesn't matter." Jason waved his hand. "We have credit cards. We'll max them out and pay them off tomorrow. Who cares about debt when you're a millionaire?" "Okay," I said. "But I want to invite your mom and Mark. I want everyone to celebrate." Jason hesitated. He knew his mother, Mrs. Gable, hated me. She called me mousy and low class to my face. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Mom can be intense." "I insist," I said. "We're family now, right? She should know her son is going to be taken care of." Taken care of. The magic words. "Okay." Jason grinned. "I'll call her. Go get dressed. Put on something expensive looking. Or try to." I went into the bedroom and closed the door. I didn't get dressed immediately. Instead, I pulled out my old baby monitor. I had bought it months ago to keep an eye on my cat when he was sick. Jason didn't know I still had it plugged in behind the TV in the living room. The receiver was in my nightstand. I turned it on. Jason was dialing. "Mom, it's me. Are you sitting down?" I pressed the receiver to my ear. "Mom, listen to me. Lily won the lottery. $10 million. I heard a shriek on the other end. "That little mouse. Are you joking?" "Dead serious, Ma. I saw the ticket. The numbers match." "Did you propose?" Mrs. Gable asked sharply. "Of course I did. She said yes. She's eating out of my hand." "Good boy," Mrs. Gable purred. "Now listen to me, Jason. You need to be smart about this. You need to get your name on that ticket. Or on a joint account. Before the wedding." "I know, Ma. I'm working on it." "She trusts me." "She's an idiot," Mrs. Gable said. "But she's a rich idiot now. Once you're married, well, accidents happen, don't they?" My blood ran cold. "Ma, don't talk like that." Jason laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. "I don't need to kill her. I just need to manage her. Maybe she develops a drug problem like Aunt Karen. Gets sent to rehab. I get power of attorney." "Smart," Mrs. Gable said. "Or maybe she just realizes she's not cut out for the high life and has a nervous breakdown. You're the devoted husband who takes control of the assets to protect her." "Exactly," Jason said. "I'm going to divorce her, Ma, but not yet. Not until the money is secure. Give it a year, 2 max. Then I take half hell, I take all of it, and I find a girl who actually looks good in a bikini." "I'm so proud of you, honey," Mrs. Gable said. "You finally made something of yourself." I clicked the monitor off. I sat on the edge of the bed staring at my reflection in the mirror. They were planning my destruction, my breakdown, my financial ruin. All within 5 minutes of thinking I had money. I wasn't sad anymore. The last shred of affection I held for Jason evaporated like water on a hot stove. I stood up. I went to my closet. I didn't have designer clothes, but I had a black dress I wore to interviews. It was sharp, professional, and commanded respect. I put it on. I put on my heels. I applied red lipstick war paint. I picked up the fake lottery ticket. I looked at it. It was just a piece of paper. But it was the most valuable thing I owned right now. Not because of the money it promised, but because of the truth it revealed. I walked out of the bedroom. Jason was waiting by the door wearing his one good suit, which was too tight around the waist. "Wow," he said, looking surprised. "You actually clean up okay? Maybe with a stylist we can fix the rest." "Ready to go?" I asked, smiling. "Born ready," he said. "Let's go spend some money." We took an Uber Black to Le Monde, the most expensive French restaurant in the city. Jason insisted on the upgrade, charging it to my credit card, of course. "It's an investment," he told the driver. "I'm a millionaire now." The driver just rolled his eyes. When we arrived, Mrs. Gable and Mark were already at the table. They had ordered a bottle of champagne Dom Perignon. "Lily." Mrs. Gable stood up and hugged me. It was the first time she had ever hugged me. Her perfume was overpowering, smelling of lilies and old money she didn't actually have. "My darling daughter-in-law, I always knew you were special." "Hello, Mrs. Gable," I said, enduring the embrace. "It's so good to see you." "Call me Mom," she insisted. "We're family now. Oh, let me see the ring." I held up my hand with the candy wrapper. Mrs. Gable frowned for a split second, then recovered. "Oh, how avant-garde, Jason, you are so creative. But we'll get you a real rock tomorrow, won't we? 5 carats minimum." 10, Jason declared, pouring himself a glass of champagne. "Nothing but the best for my luck." Mark, Jason's friend, raised his glass. "To Jason." "The luckiest bastard I know." "To Jason," Mrs. Gable echoed. They didn't toast to me. They toasted to Jason, as if he had won the lottery, as if I were just the delivery system for the cash. I sat quietly, sipping my water. "So," Mark leaned in, "what's the plan? You guys moving to the hills? Or maybe a condo in Miami?" "Miami for sure," Jason said, mouthful of caviar he had ordered without asking. "I'm thinking a yacht. We can live on it. Sail the Caribbean." "I get seasick," I mentioned softly. "You'll get over it." Jason dismissed me with a wave of his fork. "Rich people don't get seasick. It's a mindset thing." Mrs. Gable patted my arm. "Jason needs the sea air, Lily. You have to be supportive. A wife's job is to follow her husband's dreams." "Is it?" I asked. "Of course," she beamed. "Now about the wedding. I'm thinking destination. Italy, Lake Como. Very exclusive. I'll plan everything. You don't need to worry your pretty little head about it." "That sounds expensive," I said. "Money is no object," Jason shouted, attracting the attention of nearby tables. "Garcon, another bottle, the vintage stuff, and bring the Wagyu for everyone." The waiter looked at me. He saw the manic energy in Jason's eyes and the calm resolve in mine. "Is that all right, madame?" he asked me. "Order whatever you want," I said to the table. "Tonight is a celebration." They ordered and ordered. Seafood towers, truffle pasta, steaks wrapped in gold leaf. The bill was racking up. 5,000, 8,000, 10,000. Jason was drunk on power and expensive wine. He was holding court, telling Mark and his mother about how he was going to invest in tech startups, how he was going to buy a sports team, how he was going to be a titan of industry. He never once asked me what I wanted to do with the money. "You know," Jason said, leaning back and unbuttoning his jacket, "I was thinking, since I'm going to be managing the portfolio, maybe we should just put the winnings directly into a trust, under my name. It's safer that way. Less tax liability." "That's a brilliant idea, son." Mrs. Gable nodded vigorously. "Lily doesn't know anything about finance. She'd probably just give it to charity or something stupid." "Actually," I said, speaking up for the first time in an hour, "I was thinking of paying off my student loans and buying my parents a house." Jason frowned. "Your parents? They're fine. They live in Ohio. Houses there are like $10. We need to focus on our legacy." "Our legacy?" I repeated. "Yeah. And signing that prenup," Jason added casually. "My lawyer friend drafted a quick one. Just standard stuff. Basically says, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is managed by me." He pulled a napkin out of his pocket. He had actually written terms on a napkin. "Jason controls all investment decisions. Lily receives a monthly allowance of $5,000. In event of divorce, assets remain with the primary earner, Jason." "Primary earner?" I asked, looking at the napkin. "But I won the money." "But I'm earning the yield," Jason argued. "It's about potential, Lily. Look, just sign it. Don't be difficult. You want to be Mrs. Jason Gable, don't you?" I looked at him. At his greasy chin, at his arrogant smile, at his mother looking at me like a wolf looks at a sheep. I checked my watch. 9:00 p.m. You know what? I said, standing up. I think it's time. Time for what dessert? Mark asked, eyeing the menu. Time for the announcement, I said. We already announced it. Jason laughed. We're rich. No, I said, reaching into my purse. The real announcement. I pulled out the lottery ticket. Jason's eyes locked onto it. Put that away. It's not safe. Give it to me. He reached for it. I pulled it back. This ticket, I said loudly so the tables around us could hear, is the reason we're here tonight. It represents everything you want, Jason. Money, power, freedom. Yes, yes, give it here. He snapped, his patience wearing thin. But there's something you should know about this ticket, I continued. I held it up to the candlelight. What is it? Mrs. Gable asked, sensing the shift in my tone. It cost $5.99, I said. Jason blinked. What? No tickets are $2. Not on Amazon, I said. In the prank gifts section. The table went silent. What are you talking about? Jason whispered. It's fake, Jason, I said. It's a piece of paper. The numbers are real winning numbers from 2012. I printed it out. Jason stood up. You're lying. You're joking. This is a bad joke. Is it? I asked. I ripped the ticket in half. Jason screamed. No! He lunged across the table, knocking over the wine bottle. He grabbed the torn pieces, trying to fit them back together. It's fake, I repeated. There is no $10 million. There is no yacht. There is no Lake Como wedding. Jason looked up at me, his face purple. You bitch. Why would you do that? To see who you really are, I said. And I saw a man who proposed to a paycheck. I saw a man who planned to divorce me, gaslight me, and steal from me before the ink was even dry. I never said that, Jason shouted. Didn't you? I asked. I pulled out my phone. I connected it to the restaurant's Bluetooth speaker. I had tipped the waiter $100 earlier to give me the code. The audio filled the restaurant. Maybe she develops a drug problem, gets sent to rehab. I get power of attorney. I'm going to divorce her ma. I take all of it and I find a girl who actually looks good in a bikini. The patron's gasps were audible. Mrs. Gable covered her face with her napkin. Mark looked like he wanted to dissolve into the floor. Jason stood there, the torn ticket in his hand, the recording playing his own cruelty for everyone to hear. You set me up, he whispered. I gave you a rope, I said. You hung yourself. The waiter arrived with the bill. He placed it on the table. Check, sir, the waiter said to Jason. I looked at the total. $15.450. Oh, and Jason, I said, picking up my purse. One more thing. I pulled out a letter from my bag. A real letter. On company letterhead. This is my promotion offer, I said. Director of Marketing, $200,000 a year. Real money. Earned money. Jason's eyes widened. You have money. I do, I said. But you, I gestured to the bill. You're broke. You're single. And you're stuck with the check. I turned to leave. Lily, wait. Jason grabbed my arm. We can fix this. It was a joke. I was joking. Get your hands off me, I said coldly. You can't leave me here. I can't pay this. Call your mom. I smiled. I hear she's very proud of you. I walked out of the restaurant. Behind me, I heard Jason screaming, the manager shouting about calling the police, and the beautiful sound of a life built on lies crashing down. I got into my Honda Civic. It wasn't a G-Wagon, but it was mine. And it was taking me to my new life. The heavy oak doors of Le Monde closed behind me, muting the chaos I had left inside. But through the glass, I could still see the scene unfolding like a silent movie of despair. Jason was arguing with the maitre d', waving his arms frantically. Mrs. Gable was weeping into her napkin, her mascara running down her face like black tears of regret. Mark had simply vanished, likely slipping out the back door the moment the bill arrived. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment, breathing in the cool night air. It tasted sweet. It tasted like freedom. I got into my car and drove straight to my apartment. I had packing to do. Inside the restaurant, things were escalating quickly. Sir, your card has been declined, the waiter said loudly, his patience exhausted, for the third time. It's a mistake, Jason shouted, sweat beading on his forehead. My girlfriend. My fiancée. She has the money, she just left to get her wallet. The lady made it very clear she was not paying. The manager stepped in, arms crossed. You ordered the vintage Dom Perignon. You ordered the gold leaf steak. You are responsible. I can't pay this, Jason wailed. I'm unemployed. Then we have a problem, the manager said. He signaled to the security guard by the door. Call the police. Theft of services. No. No police! Mrs. Gable shrieked, standing up. My son is a good boy. He was tricked. He's a victim of fraud. The only fraud here, madam, the manager said coldly, is the one eating my caviar without a credit limit. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Officers Miller and Davis, the same ones who patrolled my neighborhood. They knew Jason. They had broken up his loud parties more than once. Well, well, Officer Miller said, looking at the bill. That's a lot of zeros, Jason. You hit the lottery or something. Jason hung his head. No, I didn't. They were given a choice, pay up or go downtown. Since Jason's bank account was overdrawn by $200 and his mother's credit cards were maxed out from her QVC addiction, they had no options. Wait, Mrs. Gable cried as they were being handcuffed. I have jewelry. My ring. It's real gold. She tried to pull off her wedding ring, but her knuckles were swollen from the salty food. It wouldn't budge. Jason looked at her, defeated. It's gold-plated, Ma. You told me that yourself. They were led out in cuffs past the staring diners. Jason, the man who wanted a yacht. Mrs. Gable, the woman who wanted Lake Como. Now they were going to the county lockup. Back at the apartment, I moved fast. I packed my clothes, my books, my important documents. I left everything else. The couch with the beer stains, the TV Jason loved more than me, the bed where he snored while I worried about rent. I called my landlord. Mr. Henderson, it's Lily. I'm breaking the lease. Lily, is everything okay? Better than okay, I said. I'm leaving the keys on the counter. You can keep the security deposit. And you might want to change the locks. Jason won't be happy when he gets home. Understood, Henderson said. He liked me. He hated Jason. I'll handle it. I loaded my car. It was 2 a.m. by the time I was done. I drove to a hotel, a nice one paid for with my new corporate card. I ordered room service, a burger and fries. It tasted better than any gold leaf steak ever could. The next morning, I went to work. I walked into my new office, a corner suite with a view of the skyline. My name was already on the door. Lily Vance, Director of Marketing. My boss, Sarah, came in with coffee. You look different today, she noted. I feel different. I smiled. Lighter. Did you tell the boyfriend? I did, I said. He didn't take it well. His loss? Sarah said. We have a meeting with the tech team in 10. They're launching a new app and need a strategy. I'm on it. Work became my sanctuary. For the first time, I wasn't rushing home to cook for an ungrateful man-child. I was staying late because I wanted to. I was building campaigns, leading teams, creating value. Jason, meanwhile, was experiencing a different kind of value system. He spent 2 nights in jail before Mark bailed him out. When he got back to the apartment, his key didn't work. His stuff was in boxes on the curb. It had rained the night before. His precious gaming console was waterlogged. He called me 47 times. I blocked the number. He emailed me. Lily, baby, please. I'm homeless. Mom is staying at a shelter. We made a mistake. I love you. The money doesn't matter. I replied once. Subject please, Jason. The money never mattered to me. That's why I paid for everything. What mattered was respect. You have none. Do not contact me again, or I will send the recording of your drug problem plan to your parole officer. Lily. He didn't reply. 2 weeks later, I was at a networking event. A rooftop bar, swanky, full of young professionals. I was sipping a martini looking at the city lights when a man approached me. He was wearing a sharp suit, had kind eyes, and a smile that didn't look practiced. Is this seat taken? He asked. Depends, I said. Are you going to ask me for a loan? He laughed. No, I was actually going to ask if you're the Lily Vance who just turned around the marketing for Tech Global. Your campaign was brilliant. That's me, I said, extending a hand. I'm Ethan, he said. I work in finance, but don't hold it against me. I'm one of the good ones. I'll be the judge of that. I smiled. We talked for hours. He didn't brag. He didn't talk about yachts. He talked about his dog, his love for hiking, and his volunteer work teaching math to kids. It was nice. Normal. Healthy. As I was leaving, I saw a familiar face across the street. Jason. He looked rough. Unshaven, wearing dirty clothes. He was arguing with a bouncer trying to get into the club. Do you know who I am? He was shouting. My girlfriend is in there. She's rich. The bouncer shoved him away. Beat it, pal. No cover. No entry. Ethan followed my gaze. Do you know him? I looked at Jason screaming at a wall trapped in his own delusion. I used to, I said. He's just a bad investment, I wrote off. Ethan took my hand. Smart move. But Jason wasn't done. Desperation makes people creative, and Jason was nothing if not desperate. A month later, I received a summons. Jason was suing me. Palimony, the document read. Emotional distress. Breach of promise. He claimed I had promised to support him, that we had a verbal contract, that my prank had caused him PTSD. He wanted $500,000. I called Arthur Kane, the lawyer from the other story, who was apparently the best in the city. This is laughable, Arthur said, reviewing the file. But annoying. He's trying to settle. He thinks you'll pay him to go away. I won't pay him a dime, I said. I want to countersue. On what grounds? Fraud, I said. I have bank statements showing he used my credit card to buy crypto in his own name. I have the recording of him conspiring to harm me. And I did a little digging. Digging? I found his other girlfriend. Arthur raised an eyebrow. Go on. Her name is Chloe. She lives in Jersey. He's been seeing her for 6 months. He told her he was a venture capitalist waiting for a big payout. He borrowed $10,000 from her. Perfect. Arthur smiled. Let's go to court. The deposition was held in a glass-walled conference room. Jason showed up wearing a suit that was clearly rented and too big for him. Mrs. Gable was there too, glaring at me like I was the devil. My client has suffered irreparable harm, Jason's lawyer began. A greasy man who advertised on bus benches. He believed he was entering a life of partnership. Instead, he was humiliated. The fraud, the theft, the conspiracy. Jason looked at the paper. He looked at his lawyer, who shrugged. He looked at me. Why? He whispered. Why are you doing this? We were in love. I was in love, I corrected. You were in business, and you're bankrupt, he signed. 6 months later, I bought a house. Not a mansion. A beautiful historic brownstone in the city. It had high ceilings, a chef's kitchen, and no beer stains anywhere. Ethan moved in with me. We split the bills 50-50. He insisted. I want a partner, he said, not a sponsor. One Saturday morning, we were walking to the farmer's market. We passed a newsstand. A headline caught my eye. Local man arrested in lottery scam. I picked up the paper. There was Jason's mugshot. He had tried to pull the same prank on someone else, telling a new girlfriend he won the lottery to get her to loan him money for taxes. But this girlfriend was an undercover cop working a fraud sting. I laughed. Karma wasn't just a concept. It was a boomerang. What's funny? Ethan asked. Just an old joke, I said, tossing the paper in the recycling bin. We kept walking. The sun was shining. My phone buzzed with an email from work, a bonus for my team's performance. I was rich. Not just in money, but in life. I had escaped the trap. I had rewritten the ending. And somewhere in a cell downtown, Jason was probably asking his cellmate if he could borrow $5 for the vending machine. I thought the lawsuit was the end of it. I thought Jason signing that paper in the conference room was the final nail in the coffin of our disastrous relationship. I was wrong. Jason didn't have money, but he had something more dangerous: humiliated rage. And his mother, Mrs. Gable, had spite. 3 days after the deposition, I walked into the lobby of my office building. The security guard, Mike, gave me a worried look. Ms. Vance, there's a woman here to see you. She's making a scene. I looked toward the reception desk. Mrs. Gable was there, holding an oversized placard made of poster board and glitter glue. It read, Lily, Vance is a liar and a heartbreaker. She was screaming at the poor receptionist. She promised my son millions. She led him on. She ruined his life. People were staring. Clients were whispering. My boss, Sarah, was watching from the mezzanine, looking concerned. I felt a flush of heat rise up my neck. Not shame. Anger. I walked over to her. Mrs. Gable. She spun around. You witch. Look at you in your fancy suit. My son is sleeping on a friend's couch because of you. Your son is sleeping on a couch because he refused to get a job for 2 years. I said, my voice calm, but loud enough to carry. And you are currently trespassing. I'm exercising my First Amendment rights, she shrieked. Everyone needs to know what kind of woman you are. A fraud. A tease. She reached into her oversized purse and pulled out eggs. Raw eggs.